It's a big day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin. Let us turn to the presidential search.
This meeting is being recorded.
In August of last year, we appointed a presidential search committee comprised of 4 members of the Board of Governors, 3 members of the Board of Trustees, 1 member of the Board of Overseers, 2 members of the University Central Administration, 11 faculty members, 1 graduate student, 1 undergraduate student. We asked Dr. Deborah Gray White, Board of Governors Distinguished Professor of History and Women's and Gender Studies in the School of Arts and Sciences in New Brunswick, and Mr. William Best, member of the Board of Governors, emeritus member of the Board of Trustees, former chairman of the Board of Trustees, to serve as vice chairs. There are members of the Presidential Search Committee here today with us. I would ask you to stand and be recognized, please. This was quite the process. It would not have been possible without the collaboration of the man who has become my dear friend, Dr. Jim Doherty. And I mean, the involvement of the chair of the Board of Trustees has been just fabulous. It could not have been more consultative. It could not have been more shared. I just now in closed session had the privilege of sitting in my first Board of Trustees meeting there, and I felt like home. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would ask you to recognize Dr. Jim Doherty. He's just a fabulous. The search committee was tasked with reviewing the credentials and backgrounds of exceptional candidates identified during the nomination process and recommended several candidates in unranked order to the Board of Governors. That was the charge. Although intentionally large and inclusive, the search committee was thoughtful, resolute, and diligent in its work, making for an efficient and thoroughly enjoyable process. I now have the pleasure of noting the successful outcome of that process by announcing that the Board of Governors has determined to act on the appointment of Dr. Jonathan Holloway to be the next president of Rutgers University. And I call upon Mr. William Best, member of the Board of Governors, and Vice Chair of the Presidential Search Committee, to make a resolution.
Board of Governors. Board of Governors and Board of Trustees, Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, January 21st, 2020. Proposed resolution on the Board of Governors' appointment of the 21st President of Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. Whereas, in accordance with the 1956 Rutgers, the State University law, the Board of Governors is vested with the authority to elect the President of the Corporation and the University with the advice and consent of the Board of Trustees, and whereas on July 23rd, 2019, Rutgers' 20th President, Dr. Robert L. BOG, announced he would step down as President as of June 30th, 2020. And whereas in early August 2019, Mr. Mark Anderson, Chair of the Board of Governors, outlined the process to identify Dr. Robert L. BOG's successor, and among other actions, called for the appointment of a Presidential Search Committee to be comprised of 4 members of the Board of Governors, 3 members of the Board of Trustees, 1 member of the Board of Overseers, 2 members from the University's Central Administration, 11 faculty members, 1 graduate student, and 1 undergraduate student, and whereas the Presidential Search Committee was appointed in August 2019 and was chaired by Mr. Anderson and vice chaired by Dr. Deborah Gray White, Board of Governors Distinguished Professor of History and Women's and Gender Studies, School of Arts and Sciences, Rutgers University in Brunswick, and Mr. William Best, member, Board of Governors and Emeritus member, Board of Trustees, and had as its other members the following individuals: Martin Glazer, Henry Rutgers Chair of the Human Microbiome, Professor of Medicine and Microbiology, Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, Professor of Epidemiology and Biostatistics, School of Public Health, and Director, Center for Advanced Biotechnology and Medicine, Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences. Sherry Ann Butterfield, Executive Vice Chancellor, Rutgers University, Newark, Associate Professor of Sociology, School of Arts and Sciences, Newark. Jeffrey Carson, Distinguished Professor of Medicine, Richard C. Reynolds, MD, Chair in General Internal Medicine and Provost, Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences, New Brunswick. Francine Conway, Distinguished Professor and Dean, Graduate School of Applied and Professional Psychology, Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Hollis Copeland, Member, Board of Trustees. Michael Gower, Executive Vice President and Finance and Administration, University Treasurer. Daniel Hart, Distinguished Professor of Psychology, Faculty of Arts and Sciences, Camden. Joyce Hendricks, Member, Board of Trustees. Frank Hunley, Member, Board of Governors, Emeritus Member, Board of Trustees. Demis Jahari, Member, Board of Trustees. Robert Johnson, the Sharon and Joseph L. Muscarelli, Endowed Dean, Professor of Pediatrics and Director of Division of Adolescents and Young Adult Medicine, New Jersey Medical School. Emblem Dean, Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences. John Keene, Professor and Chair of African American and African Studies and Professor Emeritus, School of Arts and Sciences, Newark. Barbara Lee, Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. Nicole Lima, Graduate Student, School of Management and Labor Relations, Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Kimberly Murchison, Co-Dean and Professor of Law, Rutgers Law School in Camden. Massey Shaw, Undergraduate Student, School of Arts and Sciences, Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Ernest Sosa, Board of Governors, Distinguished Professor of Philosophy, School of Arts and Sciences, Rutgers University, New Brunswick. William Tambosi, Member, Board of Governors. Amy Towers, Member, Board of Overseers. Nancy Wolf, Distinguished Professor, Edward G. Blonsky School of Planning and Public Policy, Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Whereas the Presidential Search Committee sought out and reviewed the candidacies of hundreds of individuals and interviewed and carefully studied the credential and background of the most distinguished individuals among those identified. And whereas the Presidential Search Committee recommended the names of several candidates in unranked order to the Board of Governors, who in turn interviewed and reviewed the credentials and background of this final state candidate and selected Dr. Jonathan Holloway as the top candidate. Whereas Dr. Jonathan Holloway is currently serving as Provost of Northwestern University, which ranks among the top 10 private research universities in the United States. Whereas Dr. Holloway previously served as Dean of Yale College and was a distinguished professor at Yale University. And whereas Dr. Holloway has outstanding academic credentials, including a PhD in history from Yale University and a BA with honors from Stanford University. And whereas Dr. Holloway has numerous publications, honors, and memberships, including membership in the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and the Society of American Historians. And whereas the Board of Governors found Dr. Holloway to be knowledgeable, charismatic, and accomplished academic leader who possesses the leadership qualities and vision centered to advance the quality and overall growth and development of the university, and to bring the university's educational, research, and service programming to the highest level. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Dr. Jonathan Holloway is hereby elected the 21st President of the Corporation, Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, and the University, subject to the advice and consent of the Board of Trustees, and that Dr. Holloway, as President, shall serve as the university's Chief Academic and Administrative Officer, and be vested by the Board of Governors with corresponding authority Be it further resolved that Dr. Holloway is hereby appointed a university professor and distinguished professor with academic tenure. Be it further resolved that Dr. Holloway's appointment as president, university professor, and distinguished professor with academic tenure should be effective on July 1st, 2020, and that Dr. Holloway shall therefore thereafter hold office as president indefinitely at the pleasure of the Board of Governors, subject to the terms of his signed appointment, letter dated January 16, 2020. Be it further resolved that the Board of Governors charges Dr. Holloway with the task of carrying forth the development of Rutgers State University of New Jersey as a national leader in the great state university and land grant tradition, serving the interests of the people of the state of New Jersey, the nation, and the world in the areas of scholarship, research, undergraduate, graduate, and professional education and public service. And the Board of Governors further charges Dr. Holloway to set the highest standards of excellence in all of the university endeavors. Be it further resolved that the Board of Governors seek the consent of the Board of Trustees on this appointment. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Before asking for a second, it is at this time that we allow members of the public who have asked to speak here, of which there is one, to come to the microphone and make 2 minutes of remarks. If Mr. Cradle is here, I would ask him to come to the microphone.
Good morning, members of the board. I'm Charles Cradaville, hail from New Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm the editor of a community newspaper, New Brunswick Today, available online at newbrunswicktoday.com. I have just a point to make. First of all, thank President Barchi for his service, and wanted to state that I believe this board made a mistake when you allowed the current president to take on this huge responsibility of being the president, but also to continue working other positions, including those with organizations that do business with Rutgers. Of course, he served on a couple of boards and was paid handsomely for that. At the same time, he was the president of the university and paid handsomely for that as well. So I would just ask, if you could, is the board going to this time insist that the president of the university be a full-time president and not have other employment with other organizations?
Thank you for your remarks, Mr. Cradle.
That was a question. Will you insist on the new president being a full-time president?
Yes. Thank you for your remarks, Mr. Cradle.
Terrific. So there will not be.
Mr. Cradle,
Yes.
this is a historic moment. Thank you.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree, and I welcome the new president to the position. I just want to make sure that the board doesn't make the same mistake again. So you're telling me that the new president will be permitted to work for Rutgers and no one else during his time here?
Thank you, Mr. Cradle.
Could you just please give me the answer?
No, sir.
No, you won't give me the answer.
That is correct. If you would be seated, Mr. Cradle.
Why not? Why can't you answer the question? You're not going to insist that the president of the university be a full-time president?
Mr. Cradle,
Why am I out of order?
Mr. Cradle, I would ask you one last time, very respectfully, to be seated.
Why am I out of order? You haven't stated why. Oh, the 2 minutes is already up, you're saying. I couldn't hear what you just said. I just came with one question. I just wanted an answer to the question. I think the 2 minutes was enough time for me to ask. I just want the answer.
Can we move on, Charlie? I'm happy to wrap it up. I just wanted an answer. It's kind of strange that you can't answer my simple question about the president being a full-time president. I think it's the least we could ask for. I'm listening to the chair.
Shame on you, sir. Out.
Shame on me for asking a question of my alma mater at a public meeting? Shame on you, sir. Shame on you, sir. This is disgraceful. Unbelievable.
Is there a second to Mr. Best's motion? Are there any objections from members of the Board of Governors to the passage of Mr. Best's motion?
No.
Hearing none, I am delighted to report that the Board of Governors, subject to the advice and consent of the Board of Trustees, has elected Jonathan Scott Holloway, the 21st President of Rutgers. Dr. Darby.
For the Board of Trustees, we have a proposed resolution of the Board of Trustees consenting to the Board of Governors' appointment of the 21st President of Rutgers State University of New Jersey. The Board of Governors has elected Dr. Jonathan Holloway to be the next President of the University. It is our responsibility to consent to this appointment. Members of the Board of Trustees, do I have a motion? Second? Any discussion? Would the trustees on the phone please take their phone off mute so their vote can be heard? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. I always do that. Any opposed? Abstentions? I'd like to announce that the Board of Trustees has consented to the Board of Governors' resolution on the appointment of Dr. Jonathan Holloway to be the 21st President of Rutgers University.
There are so many things that I could say about Jonathan Scott Holloway, all of them favorable. I'm going to default in the interest of time because I think that everybody's read over the course of the last 48 hours just about everything there is to read about this extraordinary leader, scholar. I'm going to address instead the things that are most important in my observation to Dr. Holloway in his own life. And they are, these folks are seated behind us here. I see Henningbers, I see Holloways, I see Colognes, I see Lisa and Terry. I missed out everybody. thought there was going to be a Parker here, but she's managed not to be here yet. This spectacular family, each and every one of them are joining us in this endeavor. I thank you all on behalf of Rutgers University from the bottom of my heart. Keep your eye on them, okay? Without further ado, the 21st President of Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, Dr. Jonathan Scott Hall. This is a truly extraordinary meeting for a whole host of reasons. But one of them is that I've just been told that for the first time in my experience, and maybe for the first time ever, the governor of the state of New Jersey is in the building. And if that's right, could somebody check, please? Tony Calcato says the governor's here. That's a good thing. It means he's here. Oh my golly. What I got? Yeah, we could. Yeah. The most distinguished member of the Committee on Intercollegiate Athletics is suggesting that I sing and dance. That's amazing. Thank you. So, yeah, here it comes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a really big deal. The governor of the state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy.
I think my clock was a little bit back to front. I was coming in anticipating it would be in advance of the vote. But I now feel like we're in the post-game celebration. So what a treat to be here, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to say a very brief few words. I mentioned I delivered my State of the State address a week ago today, and I said that I was anticipating and how much I was looking forward to Rutgers finding the next great leader. It turns out we didn't have to wait terribly long, and this is the day. I had the opportunity to meet with Jonathan last week privately. I came away convinced that he is the right person, as you all clearly agree, to continue the great work of Dr. Bob Barchi. Bob, God bless you. He's the right person to continue that trajectory and chart the future course of our state's flagship university. Jonathan understands the need to put Rutgers students first. We share a commitment to keeping a Rutgers education affordable and within reach of every student. And from his time at both Northwestern and at Yale, Jonathan has the experience of leading internationally recognized research institutions, and this experience will be invaluable in growing Rutgers' global imprint. And we spent most of the time, in addition to talking about our great diversity as a state at this university, we spent a lot of time discussing about our objectives in New Jersey to reclaim our dominance in the innovation economy. And Rutgers will be both a leading partner and a leader in its own right in that respect, as it already is. Dr. Holloway knows the importance of Rutgers, as I mentioned, in creating a diverse and talented workforce, both it and our state needs for future success, and he understands the importance of bringing together academic experience and the real economy. So I was going to say I look forward to the board's vote. I salute the board on its vote. And I look forward to working alongside Jonathan to see Rutgers continue to maximize the full potential of its tremendous faculty, staff, and of course its students. Today is a historic day for Rutgers, but I have to say it is equally importantly a historic day for New Jersey and our state's future. Thank you all. God bless you all. Congratulations, Bob, for all you've done, and Jonathan, welcome to Jersey.
Thanks, everybody. See you, everybody.
Who was that masked man? I'm going to say 10 seconds more, and then I'm going to get out of the way. The most memorable thing for me about the interview process with Jonathan Scott Holloway, memorable things, were his stated commitments to students first, and faculty, and the staff. Huge commitment. That was the thing that moved me most about our search committees and our board's interaction with this man. Without further ado, Jonathan Scott Holloway.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark, for that kind introduction and that warm welcome. Thank all of you for that welcome. That's it's humbling. My name is Jonathan Holloway, and I am honored to have been selected as the 21st president of Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. Today marks the beginning of a grand new adventure for my family, and I hope for this wonderful and exciting statewide community. I want to thank the Search Committee, the Board of Trustees, the Board of Governors for their trust that I have something special to offer Rutgers. I pledge to do everything I can in the coming years to demonstrate through words, and more importantly, deeds, that this trust has been well placed. I also want to thank Bob Barchi for his incredible work these last 8 years. He's been a transformative president who guided the integration of UND&J and the formation of Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences, while also enhancing Rutgers facilities throughout the state, improving the quality of the academic enterprise, and raising Rutgers rankings in various polls. Bob Barchi has made the Rutgers presidency a particularly enticing position because the foundation is now so very strong. Thank you for that. I also want to thank my family. I'm actually glad they're all behind me. It's easier to get emotional. I want to thank my family, Wendell and Kay Holloway, my parents, both deceased, but both very much here right now. They were instrumental in nurturing in me a commitment to service and integrity. Through their respective careers in the military, the federal government, corporate lobbying, my father, and primary school education, my mother, they led lives that were dedicated to the idea that we must never give up on the future and that we must always respect our pasts. My amazing wife, Ashlyn Cologne, gave me permission to put my name in the hat back in December. We are very close partners in all that we do. You will discover that she is my secret weapon. And because she saw the potential opportunities for us here, I'm in front of you today. Now that I am president-designate, I will look to our children, Emerson and Ellison, to keep me in my place. As teenagers, they are already quite adept at that, and I appreciate them for it. I'm honored that members of our extended family have been able to make it here for this announcement. My parents-in-law, Pat and Aunt Cologne, our cousins, well, I have Jennifer Parker, but she decided not to show up this morning. Jennifer Parker and Gus and Michael Henningberg, and our dear friends Lisa Gilbert and Terry Perdue. 3 of these relatives bear a bit more emphasis today. Pat Cologne is representing her parents, siblings, nephews, and niece who have made their homes in Ocean City and Lindenwold. Gus and Michael Henningberg, who together represent northern New Jersey enclaves, also merit emphasis. Some of you may recognize their last name. Gus's father, Big Gus in our family, was an icon in Newark and dedicated his life to civil and civic rights for all people. I already knew as much growing up, but in going through the search process, I discovered just how important he was as a mentor to an entire generation of New Jersey leaders. Others may recognize Gus's name because he is father to Jules Henningberg, a 2018 Rutgers grad and All-American lacrosse player. Now, as a quick aside, Jules and I do have something in common more than just the family lineage. I too was a varsity athlete in college, and while Jules was an active force on the field, I was busy making sure everything was in order on the sidelines. In fact, I was so good at this task, the football coaches decided to keep me there for my 4 years. Another story for another day. In any event, I highlight these family connections because while I may not have lived in New Jersey, I already feel that I have several close relative advisors who will help me navigate the cultures and histories of this great state. Now, I understand it's the first day of spring semester, and so this is a day that is encumbered by new things. New courses, new research opportunities, new lines at the bus stops, I'm told, and now this new president. You know about courses, research, and yes, the bus lines, but what is there to be known about me beyond the introduction, which you have been burdened with privately in the board, but also in the last 2 days of leaked stories? As you know, I'm a historian by training and have spent my scholarly career focused upon the post-emancipation United States. My work exists at the crossroads of intellectual and social history, meaning that I have explored the history of ideas and the people who generated them. Most recently, I've written about universities, thinking in careful terms about these communities and their role in society. Through my scholarship, I have come to appreciate the nuances that are woven into the fabric of a research university, a deep commitment to curiosity, an embrace of uncertainty, a faith in the timelessness of some ideas, as well as the courage to know that this faith needs to be tested regularly, an unblinking acceptance of complexity, and an unwavering dedication to service. These attributes make universities special places, and although it may sound quaint to some, it may sound ridiculous when one thinks about how large Rutgers is. I think of universities as beloved communities. They are far from perfect, but they are deeply committed to the pursuit of perfection. In order to be well prepared for that pursuit, I feel it is important to be guided by some core beliefs. I believe that everyone in this beloved community has an important role to play and deserves to be recognized and respected for a job well done. And this especially includes those who do the so-called invisible work at a university: assistants of all types, dining hall workers, bus drivers, maintenance crews, etc. I believe that excellence can be found everywhere, and that well-informed and inclusive leaders understand that it can be found in what are historically considered unexpected places. I believe that a recognition of leadership is earned, and that the best way to earn it is to act with integrity in everything that one does. All of these things, giving respect, being inclusive, and acting with integrity, sound nice, I know that. But to deliver on these principles requires constant attention and a determined commitment to improve. Frankly, a great university should expect nothing less of its leaders. Rutgers, of course, is a great place, and I've come here with the hope that I can help make it better in some way. Please know that in everything that I do here, I expect to be held to the same high standards to which I will hold others, and that I dare to presume exist here already. Wherever those high standards aren't being realized, I pledge that my administration will be committed to doing better, always better. As excited as I am to take on these responsibilities, I have to admit that when I first learned about the position, I was reluctant to apply. Rutgers had loomed so large in my mind for so long, I wondered how I could possibly rise to the task of leading one of this country's great state universities. From the time I was in graduate school, I knew that Rutgers boasted an incredible roster of scholars in my fields, a star-studded list of leading figures who were part of a research powerhouse. As I took a closer look at Rutgers from the perspective of a presidential candidate, however, I came to see that it was even more impressive than I knew it to be in my academic fields. An undergraduate population whose passion is equally expressed in the classroom, the lab, the athletic fields, the dance studio, the farm, graduate and professional school programs teeming with excellence, the sheer size of our BHS and the tremendous potential to be found there in public-private bioscience partnerships, and the sterling faculty on the Camden, New Brunswick, and Newark campuses. Keeping all of these great things in mind, there remains work to do. I've already spoken about the complexity to be found in any research university. Rutgers, it seems, has doubled down on this aspect of university life. And I look forward to discovering ways to lower the barriers, cultural, logistic, etc., that exist between Camden, New Brunswick, and Newark. I'm also eager to continue Bob Barczy's work with RBHS, taking this impressive statewide network of schools, research centers, and institutes to new heights, paying particular attention to enhancing partnerships along the Route 1 corridor. Speaking of off-campus partnerships, last week I had the privilege of talking with Governor Murphy and learning how he saw Rutgers' role in the state economy. I was excited to know that he shared this view publicly when in his State of State address he declared, and I quote, "As Rutgers goes, so goes New Jersey." I also had the good fortune of talking with State Senate President Sweeney a few days ago. In that conversation, I learned that there is more work to be done in terms of cultivating our relationship to the state legislature. This is critical because lest we forget the legislature is our largest and most powerful donor. Taken together, I view these conversations as invitations to strengthen our ties to New Jersey's political leadership, and this is an invitation that I accept. One last quick story. 29 years ago, when I was in graduate school, I found myself talking on the phone with the eminent historian David Levering Lewis, then a professor at Rutgers. I don't recall the specifics of the conversation, but I do remember being so excited that I called my mother right after to tell her that I might have a job at Rutgers. Somehow, I was able to ignore the fact that I was only in my third semester of my doctoral program. And in retrospect, I'm quite certain that Professor Lewis wasn't offering me anything of that kind. But as we've come to know, I'm the kind of person in whom hope always springs eternal. And wouldn't you know it, I thought I could get through this moment. And when you know it, this time I hope paid off. Mom, I got the job. You know, I wrote that down. I thought, I'll handle this fine. So much for that. Thanks, Mom. So thank you once again for coming here today. Thank you to the search committees, to the Board of Trustees, the Board of Governors, to Mark Engelson for his heavy lifting and infectious enthusiasm, and most particularly to my family. All of us working together will do great things. I'm certain of this. Finally, despite my obvious enthusiasm, some of you might still be wondering, are you ready? To this question, I enthusiastically answered, yes. Yes, I am. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. Since there are no further agenda items, do I have a motion from a member each of the Board of Governors and Board of Trustees to adjourn this joint meeting? Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries, and this joint meeting of the Board of Governors and Board of Trustees is adjourned.